The St. Louis Cardinals have had issues with their offense all year, and a recent article has them listed as a good fit for two big-name free agents coming up this offseason.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Stop on by, like, subscribe, comment, interact with us, and hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball, even if they don't show up to the ballpark, all of the info about the birds on the back. By the way, that is not a shot at our fan base because they're unhappy and they're showing it by not coming out to Busch Stadium, and I don't blame you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, so the Cardinals offense once again had another tough night on Monday. Heck, they've had a tough year overall. We know this, and it really sucks because going into the year, I, for myself, was more confident in their offense than probably any other faction of the team. Seriously, defensively, okay, we thought they were going to be all right, but offensively, you thought you were going to be really, really good. You know, last year in 2023, despite the win-loss record, the offense was pretty good for the first, half of the season before things fell apart, and then they started, playing other people and whatnot, making trades, and things went into the toilet pretty quick then. But you thought you were going to be all right. You thought with Wilson Contreras and Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, as well as up-and-comers like Jordan Walker and Mason Wen and Nolan Gorman, you thought that, that Walker and Gorman were going to make that next step. They were going to continue to get better. The other teams wouldn't know what hit them. Look at all this offense we were going to have. And now those two guys are in the minor leagues. One is on the injured list, and two are having their worst statistical years in their entire careers of Major League Baseball. And the one bright spot is Mason Wen from that group. And God, do I love watching Mason Wen play ball. Like, he is, you can just see it, smooth, confident. Like, Cardinals got something here. Legit star power here with Mason Wen. He's a treat to watch. Whether they're winning or losing, I'm loving the ability to watch Mason Wen day in and day out. But the rest of this crew has been a disappointment for a number of reasons, and it's led to the Cardinals team underperforming for a second straight year. Now, who do we blame, right? Everybody wants to blame somebody. We got to point a finger at somebody. That one person, that one single person that screwed all of this up. Is it the player's fault? Is it Ollie's fault? Is it Mo's fault? Is it Taylor Ward's fault? A combination of all the above, more than likely. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is it didn't work. It didn't work, and changes need to be made for next season. Now, we hope that Gorman and Walker will learn from this double-decker poop sandwich of a season and be ready to go next year in 2025. And to be honest, they have to be ready to go because this team won't survive without those guys making that next step. They just won't. They got to be much, 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 much better than we got this year. Those are just simple facts. The way this team is built, those guys are supposed to be leading you as the Paul Goldschmidts exit. In a couple years when Nolan Arenado is gone, those are the guys that are supposed to take over and be your new cornerstones. And when two of them just fall flat on their face this year, not great. We shouldn't give up on them. I'm not ready to quit on Jordan Walker or Nolan Gorman by any means. I just think they got to figure it out. They got to get right. And the Cardinals need to do whatever they got to do to get them to the spot they need to be. Mason Wen needs to avoid the dreaded sophomore slump. It does happen. Newt, Johnny, Siani, Burleson, maybe Victor Scott, maybe Lucan Baker, Thomas Ajaysti. There might be a lot more youth on this team in 2025 than last year, and I'm kind of cool with that. But the Cardinals will still certainly look at the free agent market to add some punch to the lineup. This past year it was okay. The rotation, it's busted up. Got to go fix it. Where did they go to do that? Free agency. They brought in 3 brand new pitchers in Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, and Sonny Gray. And if they decide to move on from Paul Goldschmidt, Gibson, and Lynn, that's $50 million off the books right there. That is payroll that you've got going on this year. And that gives you a little bit of spending money to use if you want to. Now, we keep hearing that, ownership might be cutting payroll because nobody's showing up to the ballpark. And whose fault's that? Is it the fans' fault because they're tired of watching this day in and day out, and now it's our fault that you put together a not good enough team, and we're going to get punished by dropping payroll and expecting, less of a product on the field because of that? I certainly see where bringing in the youth could help elevate things, and it could take off, but it's a big question mark. So I don't know if dropping payroll is the best idea and making it seem like it's the fans' fault. I think that's not wise at all for those of you who might feel that way. Bad. But if they do decide to spend some money in free agency this offseason and they do go after a bat or two, there are a couple guys here. Mark Feinsand at MLB.com released an article recently about the top 10 free agents going into this upcoming offseason. Our friend Thomas Govain at RedbirdsRants.com wrote about it as well, so you guys can check those out. But in this write-up, Feinsand has 2 of the top 10 that he mentions as potential fits for the Cardinals, and both of them are bats. He doesn't have the Cardinals connected to any of the pitchers. The one that he writes about that seems the most far-fetched to me would be first baseman Pete Alonso from the New York Mets. This is what he writes about Alonso. 30 years old, will be one of the better power bats on the market. And although Christian Walker is having a stronger season and possesses a better glove at first base, Alonso gets the nod between the two for his age. Walker will play next year at age 34. The Mets slugger has been one of the most reliable power threats since he debuted in 2019, averaging 44 home runs per year in his first 4 162-game seasons. He also hit 16 and 57 games during the COVID-shortened 2020 campaign. Alonso has 27 home runs in 125 games this season. He could have changed by now since he wrote this. Hitting 8 of them to go along with a 901 OPS in 30 games since the break. So I don't have to tell you, at least I don't feel like I should have to tell you, that putting Pete Alonso in the middle of your lineup, no matter what team you are, would be really cool, right? The Cardinals, yeah, duh. Why wouldn't you want the polar bear, as he's known, right there, smack dab in the middle of your lineup? He's a threat to leave the yard every time he steps up to the plate. Now, fans of St. Louis kind of dislike him a little bit after he threw Mason Wynn's first hit into the stands at Busch Stadium last year. Was a weird, boneheaded move that some still feel he did on purpose. Pete Alonso said afterwards, "No, I do that. This is what I do. I throw balls out of play. I didn't realize it. I'm sorry." And he apologized for it. They got the ball back. So I guess we can give that a rest. But, Cardinal fans are. They'll hold a grudge against you. So some people will be like, nope, just because of that. But if there's a guy who is swatting 40 home runs in the middle of your lineup, you're going to get over petty things like that pretty quick. The problem is the Cardinals, in my opinion, are not going to pay him what he's going to probably get from other teams, whether it's the Mets who come to an agreement on something at some point, or whether it's somebody like the Cubs or some other big city team that comes in with an offer. Things that I've read about Pete Alonso is that he does not want to leave New York whatsoever, that he loves being a Met. Last year, though, he did turn down a 7-year, $158 million extension offer by the Mets. He is reportedly seeking a $200 million contract, and nothing about that screams St. Louis Cardinals to me. Plus, if they decide that Alec Burleson is your first baseman of the future, they're not going to try and lock themselves up into another long-term deal with a guy at the same position. Just would make a whole lot of sense. Then you kind of have the same problem you have now. It's like, all right, what do you do with Burleson? Do you like him in the outfield? Do you DA? Like, what do you do? Just doesn't feel like a very Cardinal move. Spending all that money is not a Cardinal move, at least in my opinion, when it comes to, especially at first base. I don't feel like that's something they're going to do. So as nice as it might seem to think about, probably not going to happen. Now, the next guy that Feinstein lists has him as a possible fit for seems a little more realistic to me and is having a hell of a season in the American League East. We will talk about him next on Locked On Cardinals. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers get that $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV-based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. It's not like you're trapped into this thing. Now, the NFL season's coming up very, very quickly, right? It's not this week, but next week. Boom. We're here. We got fantasy drafts going on. Just did another one last night. We got a lot going on with the NFL revving up here shortly. I'm a Packers fan. I don't live in Green Bay, so I want to be able to watch every single Packers game I can get my eyes on, and I don't want to have to go to a bar in a restaurant or anything to do that. I want to be able to do it from home. And NFL Sunday Ticket, it's a game changer for me. It's why I've signed up with them year after year after year after year. And if you like another team that's out of the market, like the Chiefs, or maybe you're somebody who still follows the Rams, this is a big deal for you. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book and be a part of this deal. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast hosted by Sully, who is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, which is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A reminder, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. We're going talking about Mark Feinstein's list of top 10 free agents this offseason, which is loaded with some very, very big names. I would love to bring them all together and make them, the Cardinals' children, and be like, come on in. Let's take like 4 of you guys and let's go win a ring. What do you guys say? Many of them, Mark Feinstein does not have the Cardinals as a possible fit with. #1 overall free agent, doesn't shock anybody. It's Juan Soto. Still kind of wild to me to think that just a couple of years ago, the Cardinals were very close. They were in discussions with the Nationals about acquiring him. It was basically down to them in San Diego. They liked San Diego's prospects better. This is not a Dylan Carlson thing. I don't know how many times we got to say it. It was not based on Dylan Carlson. Of course, the Nationals were interested in him, but it wasn't the make or break part of the deal. The part of the deal was that the Padres had a lot better prospects than the Cardinals did at the time, and they went with that package. It's plain and simple. I don't know why people still think that it was a Dylan Carlson that decided this. It wasn't. I don't get it. Anyway, #2 on his list, Corbin Burnes, who obviously would look amazing in a Cardinal uniform with his long, glorious hair. #3 is the Giants' Blake Snell. We saw him throw a no-hitter this year. We saw him be real bad. Got hurt, comes back, has been really good for the Giants ever since. He's got 2 Cy Youngs in his trophy case. I mean, what's not to like about what he provides you on the field? #4, the Astros' Alex Bregman. Not a real fit there, obviously, with the Cardinals. Third baseman, you've got a guy named Nolan Arenado. #5 is the Braves' Max Fried, who pitched well on Monday. Another guy that seems like a Cardinal type, but I don't know if the Braves will let him get away. Maybe they will. Then at #6, he's got the Orioles' Anthony Santander. Now, Anthony Santander is 30 years old, switch hitter, and he is listed as a possible fit for the Cardinals here. Here's what Feinstein says. Has been a solid player for several years, but he picked the right time to have a career-best season. First-time All-Star this year, has already set a career-high in home runs with 38. His .821 OPS would be his highest in a 162-game season. As much as he's meant to the Orioles, Santander is likely to wind up elsewhere because Baltimore has a wealth of young outfield talent, and a number of clubs will be seeking a power-hitting corner outfielder. Now, the Cardinals have had this ongoing issue with outfielders, right? They continuously believe that they have too many of them. They inevitably trade one away or they cut one, and that player goes on to succeed, and the ones that they keep fail to live up to expectations. It has been a vicious circle for the Cardinals in this situation for a few years now. At this moment, your outfield has Newt Barr, Michael Ciani, Jordan Walker, Alec Burleson, Brendan Donovan, Victor Scott II, all set up to be in your outfield next year. Now, Donnie Burleson can play other positions. I like Donnie in second. Another beautiful double play turned on Monday. He's really good at second base. Burleson made a nice catch over the weekend at first base, like the one where he had to go into the camera well in the dugout area. That was really, really cool. Had a not so great move on one of a pick play, but work in progress though. But if Burley is going to be in first base, conversations, he doesn't necessarily need to be a part of the outfield conversation anymore. I mean, you can still use him out there if you need to, which is great. But first base seems to be a logical spot for him. We can assume that Newt, Ciani, and Walker will be up next year, and Victor is, he's getting a nice hard look at the major league level in center field right now with Ciani out. But there's no guarantees that Victor Scott is on this roster next year. He could start at AAA Memphis. It's definitely a possibility. One of the good things about Santander, as I mentioned, is switch hitter. We've seen this year how Ali is, decided to go, hey, we're going full-on matchups, man. Righty-lefty. The guys that hit lefties better and are right-handed, they're all going to be in the lineup, and they switcheroo if it's the other way around. All the left-handers are going to be in the lineup against righties. Anthony Santander does not hurt you from either side over his career. He's not all that much better from one side to the other. Has taken more at-bats from the left-handed side because there's more right-handed pitchers in baseball. But the last couple of years, he's really come into his own as a solid hitter. In 2022, he plays in 152 games, hits 240, 33 bombs, 89 RBIs, the OPS plus at 120. 2023, 153 games, hits 257, 28 home runs, 95 RBIs, OPS plus of 121. And then this year, hitting 235 coming into Tuesday, 38 bombs, 86 RBIs, and an OPS plus of 132. Now, granted, he is surrounded by one of the best lineups in baseball. Doesn't hurt to have a Gunnar Henderson over here and an Adley Rutschman and a Cedric Mullins and Jackson Holliday and Jordan Westerberg and all these guys that are in the Orioles lineup right now. Like, they're stacked. All right. They got a lot of really good hitters, and it's nice to be a part of a lineup that hits that well. It elevates people's play. It just does. When you're around people who play well and do things the right way, you tend to turn into that kind of a hitter. And he has gotten better this year. So, but you got to give him credit too. He's coming through in the clutch. He's coming through and he delivers when he gets his chances. So is Anthony Santander somebody that the Cardinals should look at? Well, Thomas Govain, RedBirdsRants.com, and his blog, he writes, this is about the money side of things. What's he going to command? I mean, he's going to hit, barring some injury, he's going to hit 40 home runs this year, probably going to eclipse 100 RBIs. So what is that going to cost in free agency? Well, Bleacher Report predicts that Santander will receive a 4-year, $60 million contract. That's it. That's a $15 million annual price tag. Not too excessive for a player at Santander's age and talent level, says Thomas. And at 4 years, the Cardinals aren't stuck for too long if Santander doesn't maintain the level of production. That's not a bad contract at all for the Cardinals. I tend to agree. 4 years, $60 million. I mean, kind of what you did with Wilson Contreras, What do you think? Leave your comments down below. You can hit me up on Twitter X. Would you guys accept something like that? Would 4 years 60, or heaven forbid they had to go to 5 years and 75 to go get him? Would you be okay with that? for an Anthony Santander? Or do you feel that bringing in somebody like that, it's just another, a Band-Aid for a much larger problem and doesn't improve the team enough to really make them a contender? So what would be the point of going out and spending money on that guy when you're still kind of stuck in the mud here in mediocrity? And I know our frustrations with the team the last couple of years has some of us panicking to make some drastic roster moves while others just want to embrace the youth movement instead of, patchwork free agent signings, which is something the Cardinals have done for a number of years now. Personally, I wouldn't hate the move for that cost. Like that he's a switch hitter. I like that, he seems that this is his third really full season and he's kind of in the prime of his career. Like he's not 33 now and is going to be 37, 38, 39 at the end of your contract. This is the meat of his career. This is the sweet spot. I think it would be a solid acquisition. I'd be surprised if that's all he got. That just seems a little low to me. But again, if the guys that are on this roster already that are supposed to be good next year don't elevate their game to where we expect it to be, won't matter all that much anyways, because we'll just kind of be stuck going through the motions again. All right, let's talk about Monday's loss to the Padres next and how fitting it might be that the Cardinals' former manager is the one who might end up burying them this season once and for all. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. They're easy-to-use website. It's packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, you get the expert support and industry-leading service they provide from the friendliest folks in the business. And you get to talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades, you guys get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every single Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line. You get free shipping. You get discounts on every order. It very much benefits you to be a part of that Trade Master program. So join the thousands of trade pros who are already benefiting from their free membership by going to SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Padres, they're one of the best teams in baseball and certainly have been one of the hottest teams in the league for quite a while now. 22-8 over their last 30 following Monday's 7-4 win over the Cardinals. Only the Diamondbacks have a better record over that time span at 24-6. The NL West race is a lot of fun. I'm jealous. I'm jealous because there's no race going on in the NL Central. That's been dead and gone for quite some time now. But the NL West, amazing right now. You got the Diamondbacks, you got the Padres, you got the Dodgers, obviously. And then you got the Giants, who are still kind of doggy paddling their way into the wild card. I think they're 5.5 out right now. So they're not done. And I'm looking at the standings today, too, this morning. Did you guys realize that the Cubs are now in second place in the division? Like, whoop! 7 wins in their last 10, and now they're in second place in the NL Central. 5.5 back in the wild card. Those sneaky Cubbies. Anyway, the Padres, they've got star power in Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been out since June, which makes the tear that they've gone on even that much more impressive. Yu Darvish, one of their best pitchers, he's been out. Ha-Seong Kim is out. He's a big piece of their puzzle. But Jackson Merrill has become a star this year. The youngster in his rookie season was a shortstop, and they were like, dude, we need an outfielder. He's like, all right, I'll go figure it out. And he goes and figures it out. I don't know what it is about young guys. You know, the Brewers got their guy in Jackson Churio. Jackson Merrill here. I just don't know why it is that the Cardinals can't get their offensive stars that are supposed to be stars to become stars, you know? Like, it's working fine for the Brewers. It's working fine for the Padres, obviously. So, but he's been able to elevate his game and has become a young star. I know Mason Wynn has been very, very good, but I'm more concerned with the Gorman and the Walker stuff because you had all three doing stuff that Mason Wynn's doing. We'd be a lot better than where we are. They've also gotten Jurickson Profar to finally become the hitter that many thought he was going to be about a decade ago when he was like the number one overall prospect with the Rangers. And he bounced around and then has finally found a home in San Diego and has taken advantage of it. The pitching has been great. Dylan Cease, they traded for him this offseason. Michael King, part of the Juan Soto deal with the Yankees. They got Joe Musgrove. They got Matt Waldron, who's a knuckleballer, although he's struggled recently. But I don't know. The bullpen is just fantastic. They went out and got Tanner Scott this year. Matsui, they signed from overseas. They got Suarez as the closer role. They're stacked. They are stacked. And, of course, all of this talent is under the leadership of former Cardinals manager Mike Schill, who, once again, is leading a team to the playoffs because that's what he does. That's what he does. He did it in all 3 seasons for the Cardinals when he started with them as a manager. And even that year that he took over from Matheny, he got him to 88 wins, but he had the COVID year, made it to the playoffs, 90-plus win seasons, and the other 2 seasons with the Cardinals, got a Manager of the Year award, was in the running for Manager of the Year again in his last year, and then got fired. Got fired for philosophical differences. And outside of a magical Albert Pujols run, things in St. Louis have been going in the wrong direction ever since. So kind of fitting that he would come to town and kind of help kick a little more dirt onto the Cardinals' waning playoff hopes. I'm not saying it's over. They're 1 game under 500. You've still got all of September that you still have to play. But it isn't going to be easy. It isn't going to be easy to leapfrog, and you just got to continue to win more ball games. Taking 2 of 3 against Milwaukee and Minnesota, that was nice. But, you know, when you get swept by the Reds and you're losing to the Rockies and the White Sox and all of these teams that are the butt of jokes around Major League Baseball, and the Cardinals are losing to these guys, it's going to come back to bite you. And you do better in those series against those teams, you wouldn't be in such a pickle right now, but you are. Kyle Gibson was not very good last night. Couldn't find the zone, 4 walks. Throwing a first pitch strike to 11 of 23 hitters. That's the stat he faced. 3 swing and misses among his 90 pitches. 3. That's it. It was a struggle, to say the least. Gave up that 2-run shot to Machado in that first inning after a 2-out walk in the first. You know how walks bug me. And the Cardinals were playing catch-up the rest of the game. Gibson allowed 7 runs in total over 4 1/3 innings and has not won any of his 5 starts this month. Has an ERA of 6.91 in August, allowing 21 runs in 27 1/3 innings, and is still winless since the All-Star break. Dude hasn't won a game since July 7th. It is August 27th. And one of the starters in the Cardinals rotation has not won a game since July 7th. It seems crazy, but the numbers don't lie. It's true. It's true. Offensively, though, some life from the youth, from Mason Wynn, Alec Burleson, Brendan Donovan. All 3 of those guys had 3 hits last night. They combined for 9 of the Cardinals' 11 hits. But as a team, they finished 3 of 11 with a runner in scoring position, 6 of 34 with a runner on second or third in their last 4 games, which it makes it really tough to win when you do have guys on base and you just can't get them in. Been a problem all year. Goldie did get an RBI single in this one, which was nice to see, but also struck out in that big spot with runners at first and third and nobody out, and the Cardinals down 4-1. Needed that to be kind of a big damage inning because you're down 4-1. You're playing catch up. You kind of were hoping that you would put either 2, maybe even 3 runs on the board there. He strikes out. Carp hits a sac fly. That gets the 1 run in. Cuts the lead to 4-2, but that's all they get. So that strikeout ends up being huge. The bullpen was really good last night. Again, 4 2/3 shutout innings. Matthew Liberatore continues to shine in his role with 2 shutout innings, although he couldn't get Gibson out of the jam that he was in that 5th inning, allowing a single that scored a run, but he ended up getting the next 2 guys that were his responsibility. Sean Armstrong, John King, Kyle Leahy also go unscathed. So That's a positive when we're talking about positive things from last night. The loss drops the Cardinals back to 1 game under 500, 10.5 back in the Central, 6 back in the wild card, 3 more against these Padres. And then, yay, you get 3 in New York against the Yankees to close out the month, who have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge just mashing everything that moves. Like, I'm excited to watch the Cardinals play at Yankee Stadium. I think it's going to be fun. But I might just walk Aaron Judge every time. I might just do it. Maybe walk Juan Soto every time, too. They're so good. They're so good. Injury updates. My guy, Michael Ciani, set to play 5 innings in center field for Memphis today as part of a minor league rehab assignment. He's set to play 5 innings, hit numerous times, and then play 7 innings following a day off. He won't return to the Cardinals until he plays 9 innings on consecutive days for Memphis without limitations or pain, according to Ali Marmol. Lance Lynn threw a live batting practice session, 70 pitches yesterday. Up next for him will be a minor league start on September 1st for AAA Memphis. If that goes well, possibility he could rejoin the rotation the following week. Steven Matz still working his way back. Will make what the club is hoping is a final rehab start today for AAA Memphis. Matz's target will be around 90 pitches, the same as it was at his previous start. Hasn't pitched for the Cardinals since April 30th. And they also said that he doesn't have a defined role yet. Depends on what the team needs. There's no guarantees that he's going to go right back into the rotation. Could be a reliever, depending on what they need. So we'll see what happens there. Tonight, Miles Michaelis, who, give him credit, the Lizard King was good. Fantastic, really, against the Brewers this past Thursday. He'll go up against Dylan Cease tonight, who threw a no-hitter on July 25th, which was, beautiful watching that. Like, it was so good. Since then, though, 2-2, ERA 3.04. Both the Marlins and the Rockies were able to find some success against him, so he's not unbeatable by any means, but he can be very nasty when he's on. So we'll see how it goes down tonight. First pitch scheduled for 6:45 St. Louis time. Thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every single day. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. Appreciate your help there. Trying to make the push to get to 11,000 subscribers. If you are somebody who enjoys Cardinals content daily and you like what you're hearing here today, like, subscribe, man. Help me help you. We'll do great things together. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason. And I know you're fed up, and I know you're tired, and you're tired of watching this, and it's why nobody's going to the ballpark. What was it, like 28,000 paid attendance at the stadium last night? Well, under that many actually showed up. All I can say is I hope management is watching and listening. I'm sure they are. And they realize that this is unacceptable. And hopefully change will be made, going into next season. But leave your comments and stuff below and let me know what you think about the additions of, possible additions of guys like Pete Alonso or Anthony Santander. We'll talk about it in our next episode. And that's when I'll see you next on Locked On Cardinals. Guys, have a good one.